Welcome to RevCast, a civilization podcast focused on its console platforms.
Elthrasher,
Dupaloo, 1987.
ScottieX.
Redaf. I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then go. 3, 2, 1, go. And do you see yourself squiggling along?
Squiggling.
All right.
Okay, testing. 1, 2, 3. Here we go.
Everybody set? Great.
Recorded for episode 8.
I almost never make roads. Almost never.
They're detrimental. People with half-price roads can use them kind of well. Sometimes it helps if you're winning, but other people can use your roads. So if you're getting rushed by like a horse army and it takes over a city that has a road, then they've got free access to, all your other cities. And people then put units on your roads. It's just things are a lot meaner online. And so typically when I see somebody build a road, I get kind of caught. Because that means they're probably not used to the online play. And then I use those roads lots of times to kill them. And move my units around in their territory faster. But they can be effective for, let's say, the Romans. They get half-price roads in the beginning of the game. They can move settlers around in units, and that can be a way that they can defend against rushing really quick. But in general, roads are not something we commonly see online, and I don't recommend spending your gold on that when you can be using gold on the units.
The other thing is you can build a road instantly whenever you need to, so you should never build it if you don't need to.
Right.
I do build them once in a while. If I feel like under attack on one hot side of my empire and I have a good army to defend with on the other side, then I might build a road.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm going on a rampage and my barracks is way outside of my empire, then I might build a road because I feel like I've got the tech advantage to defend my cities and no one's going to be able to use that against me. So then I might go ahead and use it. And I've actually very occasionally built a road in the early game in order to bring a warrior army over to one of my cities that was in trouble, which is kind of a risky thing, but it worked out for me.
Recorded for episode 27.
The problem with fighters are they can only attack one turn before they have to refuel. So if I have a fighter wing, and you usually need a wing to kill units.
Well, that's the thing, that it costs 90 hammers for that wing, and that's not cheap when you don't have money tech.
So, but even if you have 2 fighter wings, you go kill 2 units, then you have to fly them back to your city, and then you have to fly them back again, and if they have the money tax, they can easily get 2 units in there, no problem, and you're basically washing.
Yeah, you're not getting anything done. Fighters can be good for defense if people are coming at you with knights or tanks or something like that. Fighters can be pretty useful, but I think they're pretty terrible offensively. I mean, the real thing is that with bombers, if your opponent is really dug in or something, you might need one wing to take out a rifleman army or something like that. But after that, you can just use single bombers.
Yep. And they can attack for, 4 turns before they need to refuel?
If you attack all 4 turns, then you're going to crash. But you can do that.
Okay, so 3 turns and then refuel.
Occasionally it's worth it to do that.
Yeah, especially if you have the money tax, it doesn't really matter.
I believe they also have better range.
Close at least. They have sufficient range, at least.
But the fighter wing costs 50% more than a single bomber for the same attack.
Right.
That's why they're no good. Plus, they get wounded.
Yeah.
Single bombers will lose sometimes, like against an archer army, which is pretty annoying. Although the graphic is funny.
Or against the knight.
Yes, fighters losing to a knight. That's pretty great.
Don't fly too low. No.
Yeah. Anyway, fighters are really only good for stopping bombers, which they're pretty good for.
Yep.
And fighters are good at shooting down other fighters.
Yeah, just not good at taking cities.
Yeah, they're pretty bad for that.
If anything, it's almost better. If you're going to try to build Oxford before industrialization, if you don't tech invention and just tech university, you get, what do you get, networking?
You get atomic theory.
After corporation, right?
After corporation, yeah.
Yeah, that gives you +2 science in every city.
That's not bad.
It could help you, because you'd always want to get invention to try to get the scientist, which is invention's bonus, if possible. But if your opponent already got that bonus and you don't have a scientist, but you have the hammers built, maybe you that +2 science to either try in each city to try to get to industrialization or corporation first, because you have to get one of them or else you're probably not going to win.
I've only seen a few games won without either of those bonus, with someone else having. Ty beat me once.
I've only lost once, and that's because I had like 20 cities, and I just got industrialization right as I think it was Ali, had like 6 or 7 night armies coming at me, and he took all but like 4 cities, but I Great Scientist Corporation, so I had both, but I only had 4 cities. And I think the game still went on for like 2 hours. Like, it got to tanks and bombers and fighters. 4 cities with Corporation, it's crazy.
That's not even worth very much.
Well, you take a couple back and it starts building, and then start swapping cities. And
right.
More of the story is it's hard to lose when you have both money techs.
Takes some doing. You have to build a lot of single units just to slow people down. Just focus on attrition. Stop him in his tracks until you can bring some really big guns to bear.
Yeah.
Or win an economic victory. I mean, I think that a lot of times if you get into the late game stalemate, that's the way to go.
Definitely. A lot of times you're just wasting your time trying to attack, because you need so many units, and at that point, especially if the money techs are split and you have so many cities, people can afford roads. So even if you try to attack a couple different places, they can just move other units around to wherever they need to. At least in my experience, roads actually do make a big difference.
You can stay in democracy the whole time.
Yeah, whoever's defending can stay in democracy. A big help.
It's a big help, and it's going to annoy the heck out of your opponent who doesn't get to have plus 50% trade.
Then the question is, what do you do when you're losing and you have to split money techs? If your opponent has more gold.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Personally, I always try to target maybe one big, maybe like if it's a whale city, it's like a pop 10 or 11 city. Like, that can make a couple hundred gold a turn difference. That could be a big difference if you can grab one big city from them.
Yeah, or try to find his fleshy underbelly. If most people are, if they've expanded well to the point where they're actually ahead of you in the game, they can't have strong defenses everywhere.
That's another thing. Never stop expanding. Even if you get to modern, you get every new city, you get 5 population. I mean, there's no reason not to fill every single part of the map up. But I think in democracy, that's, you settle a new city, and that's, 5, 20, 30 gold, plus any money bonus you have. I mean, it adds up.
Yeah, you get 15 just from the money tax if you have them both.
So then another, 30?
Right.
If you have 5 tiles and, throw in dye, or if you have East India, something like that.
Yeah, it can be tough to recognize where the game's really going, because, it's always an investment to build a new settler, and it can start paying you back pretty quickly. But if you think there's 5 turns left in the game, it's probably not worth it.
Right.
But sometimes you think there's 5 turns left, and there's actually 50.
Or you think you're going to win in 5 turns, and you get 2 Legion armies, an artist, and somebody drops in your city, and all of a sudden, it is over in 5 turns, but not the way I thought.
Right.
Recorded for episode 28.
What about culture? Do you ever play for cultural victories?
Culture victories, again, you're building up all of that gold, and the Ark of the Covenant becomes absolutely critical then. Obviously, you've got to get all those temples across all the cities, or cathedrals, depending on the situation you're in. And at the end of it, you're going to want to have a decent amount of gold, so you can just pop all of those wonders, basically buy just about everything you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Your great people are coming pretty fast close to the end, so one every turn, or one with a gap in between every now and then, or something like that.
Really? You're
really turning it up at the end because you're popping new wonders every turn and so forth.
So you're basically playing that the same way as an economic victory, except you're using all that gold to buy wonders.
Yeah, you're buying lots of wonders at the end with all the gold.
And you're probably not hammering very many of them. You're probably just buying them to get a good time.
You're banking some hammers in a few cities as you head on in. I'm not fully optimizing it when I play it usually, so I'm sure Kadira would be banking hammers in his best production cities in order to do that. But you'd be getting gold in the other ones, because there's no point having half completed wonders in half your cities.
Yeah. And you also have extra cultural milestones for all the great leaders you're going to steal off of everybody. That kind of makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The game starts with 4 great leaders in the game, and you're certainly going to end up with all of them. So really you only need to make 16 cultural milestones then.
Yeah, and sometimes you might decide, as opposed to domination, maybe and leave that extra civ out there to steal their GPs and things.
Oh yeah, because they'll generate some more.
Sometimes they're quite critical GPs, so maybe you've got a GB or a GS out there. If they get you through to industrialization a little faster or one of the other techs, they can be pretty good.
And the AI will almost always settle its great people, so you can just go get them whenever you want them.
And annoyingly often they use them on Never or something. But
that's strange thing. Do you have any idea what's going on there? Sometimes you'll just see that an AI has used a great scientist to complete the study of Never.
Yes, I don't know what they're doing. Originally, I thought maybe they were ramping some other tech and it just wasn't telling you, but I think maybe it's just not using on anything at all.
It's pretty weird.
Seems like a good use.
Recorded for episode 28.
Let's talk about the tech victory then. That one's a little bit more complicated. You are going to need some scientists. You're going to need either some production at the end. Probably you're going to need a ton of gold. I think it's like 7,500 gold to rush all the parts, something like that. But you need to know which techs to grab with your scientists to best optimize that. And I don't know that.
The first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get that industrialization. If you can't get it from a hut, you're going to want to get it from a GS because you've got to get that gold flowing, just like you would a multiplayer. Yeah. You can get advanced flight from Oxford. That one's kind of for free, as long as you've got the gold. Then you're going to want to get probably electronics. And the key thing is to be able to GS the space flight because that's the big tech at the end.
8,500 beakers or something like that.
And you'll need 970 odd to unlock that. Oh no, 1,000 to unlock that.
Are you building libraries in that case to get your beaker count up, or are you just trying to go with massive city advantage?
No, yeah. By this stage, you probably put cities in every space that's worthwhile. So you're going to want to be building libraries all over the place. Your beaker count's, 500 or something like that. Well, you can build libraries out to get it up to 1,000 or so, but building cities, you won't have anywhere to put them.
What about universities? They seem too expensive to me.
Well, after you've built libraries everywhere, then maybe you're going to have some use for the universities. But for the most part, you've got to build those libraries first. That may well take up all your time.
And what's the correct combination for the fastest way to get your ship to the moon or wherever it's going?
Alpha Centauri.
Alpha something. You can tell I obviously launch a lot of spaceships.
Well, I understand that if you have your 4 propulsion units and one of everything else, then that's the optimal method. That's what I've been using on my ones.
Takes 3 turns then, right? Is that right?
It's pretty quick. I don't remember the. I think
it's three turns if you have 4 propulsion units. The rest of the modules are just for score, which is
very odd considering one of them's fuel. But anyway,
you don't need any extra fuel. That's just to have a cookout when you get there.
Not to supply any of the propulsion units other than the first one.
Right.
And from what I understand, there's a glitch where if you get like a BC time, it still gives you 500 AD. Is that correct?
DAD, yeah.
50
AD.
You can't get those zeros or negatives. The only person that annoys most of the time is Gadira.
Nobody else gets BC space wins.
Well, me every now and then when it's China or America, but other than that, he's mostly alone.
Recorded for episode 29.
When playing against Japan, you don't want to waste too much time because if you get past 1025, Japan has a bunch of cities out. They are going to start growing, and that will add up. Someone who's 10 cities and gains a pop every 10 turns.
I think it's a little bit more relevant in free-for-all. I don't know the last game of head-to-head I had that went past 1,000.
Yeah, you're probably watching the tech tree to see whether they're heading up towards knights or what direction they're going in, and then you can sort of see it coming, which strategy they're probably following.
If they go for the quick night rush, they're probably pretty tech-heavy to get to knights quick, and you can probably expect 1, maybe 2 knight armies. So they're not going to hit you with a lot of knight armies, but those 2 armies can hit you pretty hard.
I guess so. I mean, if you have horse armies, just ambush them from a hill. That's generally pretty effective.
I think that's exactly right. You have to know your opponent. You have to pay attention to what your opponent is doing. If you're playing a passive opponent who's not likely to attack you with the knights, then you should probably expand as much as possible and defend lightly. If I'm playing against someone like Duke, then I'll expect more aggression, and then I'll prepare properly. It's not only the fact that you're playing against Japan, but what kind of Japan player.
And try to scout out your opponent, maybe get a galley over to his cities or a horse or a warrior. If he's got libraries in these cities, well, they're probably not going to expect a horse army right off the start.
That's right.
I'd be surprised how many people, especially Japan people, will get their cap up 3 tiles. Library will be the first thing up after 100 gold.
Yeah. You might want to get a galley or something out before that, even if you're going for that strategy, because you've got to be able to look out there and put your settler somewhere for one thing.
Yeah, in my opinion, Japan isn't very strong in head-to-head. I'd be interested in play against some of the PS3 guys just to see what the difference in play style is. But I think in free-for-all, Japan is, at the very least, probably, middle of the road, Civ? In free-for-all, it's oftentimes beneficial to maybe get out a couple cities, get some more cities on the islands, and then try to night rush or something else later, where horse rushing is kind of risky, because if you do lose your horse army, probably no more gold on the map left for you, and you're in a really hard spot.
That's true. I haven't played free-for-all in a long time, but I would often find myself in tough situations where I'm like, why did I make this stupid horse army? I don't have 100 gold. Other people are at 8 techs already. And then I would find the hidden valley of lightly defended cities, and now I'm winning. So that's a strategy that happens in free-for-all, but there's just so many variables. If anything, it's just harder to talk about a good strategy for free-for-all than it is for head-to-head, because you could be next to the guy who thinks libraries are awesome, but archers are stupid. So I guarantee that's happening right now. It happens all day long. Somebody starts next to the guy that just gives them free cities with libraries in them, and somebody else is having to play a real game and isn't getting a bunch of free cities with libraries and gold and stuff like that. And what strategy should that guy use? I mean, I don't know. Probably play a different game. I mean, I don't mean a different game, but I mean a subsequent game.
If you do find yourself in a long game, make sure you hit the 1,000 gold bonus gives you aqueducts in every city.
Oh, yeah. Aqueducts.
That can grow even faster.
What do aqueducts do? And when should I build them?
Never had to use them.
But they give you, 33% faster growth?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
This is your new strategy, I think.
I'm going to write a strategy based on getting to 1,000 gold.
The aqueduct strategy.
Write it up tonight.
Well, when Japan going in a long game, you've probably got quite a lot of gold coming in, so it's not that hard to want to hit your 500 anyway. So you push it further, get your 1,000 as long as you're not having to do something with the money, I suppose.
You can build harbors in all your cities.
Yeah, definitely. Go for the aqueducts, then the harbors.
And settle any great humanitarian thing.
Nothing like spending an extra 220 hammers in every city. You need the victory.
Yeah.
I wonder how many turns would it take to get a return on investment on 220 hammers.
Yeah, lots.
That's right.
Like if it gets you 2 more pop, that's 4 hammers, which is that's 50 some turns.
Oh, just as long as you're only playing a 1 city challenge, then you're then it might work out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna play some single player tonight and use this strategy, and I'm gonna win.
Probably will.
Yeah.
I predict you'll get bored and turn it off.
I don't know. If you get everything defending, you can hit B and fly through the turns pretty quick.
Here's a question. You guys are geniuses. Let me pick your brains a little bit. Now, I think it's Duke, but everyone seems to agree. You want to scout out Japan if you're playing against them. I think that's true for a lot of opponents, right? You want to scout them out.
It's true in pretty much every game you play, even if you know your opponent or their civ or whatever.
Right. So here's my question. Say you get a free galley, and you have limited resources here. Do you want to push that galley to your opponent as quickly as possible? Or let's say you have islands in the other direction that may have a lot of gold. Do you want to go in that direction? What's your priority? Scouting out the opponent or possibly going to where there might be some islands with gold?
I will go to my opponent because those islands will still be there, right?
It's true.
Well, you didn't know that.
Yeah. They'll probably still be there.
Okay, sure.
Should be a warrior on the galley anyway.
Right.
Go right toward my opponent. Probably more than half the time when I've gotten the real early galley, I can just drop my warrior into his capital, game over.
Or you camp a tree.
Camping a tree is strong, yeah.
If you have a warrior, you camp both trees, and then the game's over anyways.
So timing, you're saying timing is the issue.
If it's at your first hut, you go towards them. If it's
That's
like,
true. Okay,
if
that's
you
true.
already have a horse army out, I mean, you might use it to transport your horse army, but say that's not in a very good position.
I'm going toward him in all cases, pretty much.
Okay.
But if you already kind of know what his empire looks like over there, and you know that he's got defenses up in all the cities,
Then I'm going to the islands.
If he's got 2 caps, a horse army, and you got a terrible start, you got pottery from your first hut, you don't even have a horse army, you need a miracle to happen. So you need to go find the 7 cities or you're going to lose.
If I'm playing against one of you guys, then that's what I'm going to do. But if I'm playing against some random person, I'm still going towards him because I've played so many games where somebody gets the 7 cities and 2 caps and has 2 horse armies running around, and I drop a warrior in his capital and he quits. So...
he doesn't even send the 2 horse armies back to go and get his...
Yeah. No,
it's full-out rage quit.
that just happened to me last week. It wasn't quite so dramatic. We were closer, but he was Aztec, and he had an infiltration horse army. He was about to attack Rome and probably get Code of Laws, which would have been nice for him. I dropped a warrior into his cap. Actually, I dropped a horseman. It doesn't matter. But I took his capital, and he quit immediately. He still had the infiltration horse army.
He obviously thinks a lot of you.
I guess.
Still.
Why didn't he just quit on the first turn?
Dude, it'd make it so much easier for you to rank up.
Yeah.
Duke likes to move his settler, and that's become more and more popular when he started writing about that last year. As Japan, do you want to typically move closer to your opponent or not so close? I'm guessing it depends. If you're playing against the Arab, maybe you don't go so far to the middle, right? Or what's your take on that?
I think you always want to be in the middle of the map.
Yeah, Zozo's in his instructions, he said you move away or you don't move. But personally, I'd always move towards the middle because you get that extra cap and all of a sudden you kickstart. Got another AI cap there, well, you're probably a reasonable distance away from other people.
The problem is if you play not to lose, you already lost. Like if you play to try to move away from, say, your Arab opponent, well, he's just going to take the gold all over the map and then he's just going to beat you some other way. I mean, unfortunately, when you play civs like Arabs, Aztecs, even Zulu, you're going to lose some in the first 5 turns. There's nothing really you can do about it. Sometimes it happens. Thrasher and I, we used to play a lot of player matches.
I remember that.
Quite a while ago, and I'm going to tell this from my perspective. He might see it differently, but I actually think I was winning maybe about 70% of them for a while, because I was moving my settler every game, and Thrasher didn't like moving his settler. One day I just told him, I was like, Thrasher, just start moving your settler till something good happens, and he was terrible at it at first, and then like a week later, he beat me every game.
Suddenly you start realizing you move on to those little 3 squares that are the same, and then you're more likely to name a tile, and all of that.
Yeah. Once you realize how to do it, then it's like, I can't beat him anymore. I quit. And then I somehow got lucky and beat him in the
tourney.
In the tourney, which was the last game we played was complete luck. Not really that I got lucky. We settled close to each other, and battle luck was going to determine who won. And
I think I came out on top in the battle luck. However, I only got 1 barb in the entire game.
Yeah.
So.
And I was Mongols, so you were able to stick with me.
Well, sort of.
This moving of settlers has brought a little more luck into it in a way, because quite often I find when I'm playing someone like Sniper Kill or whatever, another good player on the PS3, our settlers bump into each other and we're like, hi.
Yeah.
So one of us has named a tile and the other one is spending the rest of the time running.
But at the same time, if nobody moves their settler, if I'm playing Thrasher, if I spawn in the middle of the map, he spawns on a long peninsula, I'm going to win 80% of those games too. Yeah. So the luck's still there. It's just a little bit more apparent when both of you are moving your settlers.
I think it's more possible to have a balanced game when you move. It allows at least one player to come out of a bad situation, because there's so many crappy starts that you could potentially have.
And it emphasizes tactics probably a little bit more than it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if you're Japan and you're wandering your settler, do you just go hard out for the whole period at which you've got an opportunity to get a walk-in? Do you just hard out look for the AI in order to get the walk-in, or would you just stop and settle whenever you've got a couple of trees? And
depends on my opponent.
Civ choice. If your opponent's playing a Vanish, like a decent Civ, you're probably a little more aggressive.
When I play ranked head-to-head, I always play random. If I ran into somebody who was like in the top 10 with the Americans, plays the Americans all the time, and I ended up with Japan, that happened not too long ago, I would probably walk until I found what I was looking for. But if I am playing some random person who has, I don't know, England or Egypt or something like that, then I would probably walk looking for something. And if I was like, oh, this is a good spot, I know where 3 barbs are, I have 3 trees here and 4 sea tiles, that's pretty good, I would probably stop there.
Recently, I've been just slightly less likely to keep walking with the Japanese than some of the other civs, just because I've walked into other aggressive civs before and run into so much trouble when your Japanese settle so close to a Aztec or any of these other guys, Germans or so forth.
Really have no advantages in that fight.
Yeah. If you get the 25 gold goodie hut, obviously, you walk a while.
And I also know that if I'd retreated a bit, then with an average player, you can guarantee that you'll be able to tech up and take them out a relatively easy sort of a way without too much risk.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe one of the most underrated things about settler walking with the civs that aren't so good at settler walking, I guess you could say, is trying to get that 1 flag barb. If you can settle on first or second turn with 2 trees right next to a barb, you can get it at 1 flag in 3,600. That's big. That gold out quick, maybe get another warrior while you tech horseback riding, and it's a fairly strong start.
If you do that with the Mongols, you get a double city.
Yeah, the only time you can have 2 cities next to each other.
Still don't have much gold.
Don't need it when you have an awesome double city. I was able to grow my Siamese twin city, so I had 4 pop really early, right next to each other, all working trees. It's great.
Recorded for episode 29.
Scotty, in pre-discussion, came up with an interesting question, which is whether or not to go and get monarchy before you get your first great person. For those who don't know, if you get the free great person from monarchy, that shoots your great person counter way up. And basically, in most games, you won't get another great person from culture. It just wouldn't happen unless you are building temples or you get free temples or have some other way to get culture coming in. So the question is really, would you delay getting monarchy a few turns in order to hopefully get both of those great people? Or would you just take monarchy as soon as it's available? Because obviously, by delaying, you could risk your opponent getting to monarchy first and getting the great person, and you would still get the culture one, but now maybe your opponent is getting 2 great people.
I think, for me, a lot of it might depend on how many die I have on my map. If I have maybe 4 die settled, then I'm probably going to try to get monarchy as quick as possible either way. If I don't have any die, I'm probably not going to tech monarchy until I get that first great person, and sometimes I might not even tech it at all if I feel like enough of a lead.
Imagine you have decided that Samurai Knights are the way you're going to win the game. I would probably just go ahead and tech monarchy.
But if I'm trying to get knights as quick as possible, I'm not going to delay the number of turns it's going to take me to get a knight army out just to try to get another great person. If you're trying to get quick knights, every turn matters.
Yeah.
Because legions can kill knights off a hill pretty easily.
It's really important to not outsmart yourself. Anyone ever settled 2 more cities to get irrigation and then not gotten the bonus? Just don't outsmart yourself. If there's something good, go ahead and take it.
Don't go for the home run if a double is going to win you the game.
Yes.
From that, what I'd say is the way to handle it, although it's so tempting to just wait those extra few turns when you see it coming up. Probably the wrong decision.
I think there's a lot of opportunities to screw things up that way in CivRev, and we should try not to do that.
Are you there, or did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm pulling up my list of units here. Should have had that ready. Let's see. Everybody still there?
We're here. I'm here.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't. I think we lost Mike.
What is he doing? We'll push on for a second, or what do you think?
We'll be able to pick it. I mean, this gets edited, so.
Is he calling?
Here we go. Bringing him back. Hey, what happened?
Hello. I don't know. I got dropped.
There you are.
All right. Well, okay. We just keep going. It's fine. Everything's still running.
Nobody saw that.
Nobody saw it.
Perfect.
Okay, where were we? Let's see. I had Oh, what did I do with it? Okay, so
What are even their bonuses?
let's talk about their bonuses.
It's a good place to
Good
start.
place to start.
For more information about RevCast, sibling shows PolyCast and Modcast, or about PolyCast in general, log on to the series' official website at thepolycast.net.
What else we got?
That could probably do it, I think.
Record dates started 2009 and 2011.
Civilization Revolution, sound clips, copyright, Take-Two Interactive.
Copyright Civilized Communication at civcom.net.